Live and online, it's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube. On this Wednesday evening, good to have you along for the ride. Layout's a little bit different. It's only our 1,500th different platform, trying things out. We're back on Zoom. It seems to be the most fluid and agreeable with us. Y'all don't care about that. Y'all see us every Wednesday, so we are grateful for that. Big show today, very big show. I can almost bet we're going to go into Sleepless OT a little after 9 o'clock because we got two big movies to talk about, one of which I didn't realize until I was about to hit play on it was 2.5 hours. Didn't realize that. So if I knew that, we probably would have made it the focal point of the show, but we just can't stop. We just can't sleep on Minari for that. One of the most critically acclaimed movies of last year. I saw it back in December. Cannot wait to hear what these two gents, Joe Viso on the top and then Dominic Guanzon in the blue. Cannot wait to hear what these two gents have to say about Minari. We're going to talk a lot about that movie. That's going to be probably the main course of the show. We're also going to dive into the new Billie Eilish documentary, The World's a Little Blurry. That is on Apple TV Plus, which I'm still not convinced many people have. I don't think I've met anybody else who has it. So,
Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis won Best Actor in the Golden Globes for Ted Lasso. So apparently they got something going.
Yeah, something. I feel like it's probably the redheaded stepchild of streaming services alongside CBS All Access, which is the last official day we can call it that because it's Paramount Plus as of tomorrow. That's neither here nor there. And then we're going to start the show in just a couple of minutes talking about the 366 films eligible for Best Picture, broken a record that stood for about 50 years. So we're going to dive into that, the inner workings of that, but more importantly, talk about which movies we think are locks for Best Picture when the Oscar nominations are announced later this month. I even pulled up some odds, guys, too. I pulled up some odds from Gold Derby to see what the quote-unquote experts are picking as well. I say quote-unquote experts because they said 1917 was going to win Best Picture last year. We all know how that worked out for the better. Anyway, Joe, Dominic, I'll start with you. Joe, how's your week going?
Week's been going pretty good. It was a brutal weekend with the movies we had to watch. Not because they were bad or anything. It's just I had a triple feature. I watched both of the movies we had to watch this week, and then I watched a movie that we have to watch for next week, and I wanted to shoot myself after. And I was trying to stay ahead of the curve. Little did I know I should have just taken my time and just save some time and just enjoyed my weekend that I had off.
Yeah, we watched the same three movies this weekend. It was because I watched that movie that will not be named until next weekend, because next week's an animated double feature. One of the movies is Raya and the Last Dragon. Think of a live-action animation hybrid movie that came out this past week, and you'll figure out the other movie we're reviewing. I don't want to get into it because it's clearly been contentious in the group chat. I don't want to get into it just yet. Dominic, how's your week going?
It's going all right. It's getting a little busier now that it's getting warmer outside, so work's picking up. People are coming out of hibernation, but it's all right. It's going well. Actually, the weather is shaping up is actually nice in and of itself. We'll see if March brings in another storm, but it's supposed to hit like 60 this weekend, so I don't freaking know. But yeah, doing all right all around. Doing some of that spring cleaning. Doing a shit ton of donations to the local Goodwill, which is nice. It feels very, very nice. And finally cleaning stuff. I should say, the office here.
Okay.
I don't think you can see it, but see that like little bit of mess on the floor there? It to the corner, it goes way more. There's like a lot of mess. But that mess used to be even worse when we first moved in, like 2 years ago. Like that corner has never been clean. It was literally just a dumping pile for all of my random shit. But yeah, that's working on it. Now it's a manageable pile. Like I can see everything actually if I move things. Yeah.
Cleaning is very satisfying when you have the motivation to do it.
Yes.
It's very, the end product, I guess you could say, is very satisfying. I'm very organized, but I kind of like skimp on the details. Like I love everything in my order, but I'm also not a fan of dusting. So there's always that.
It does
there's always,
suck.
It feels like a thankless task sometimes. We'll move forward though, because we got a lot to talk about today. Glad you guys are healthy. Glad you're doing well. and hopefully very soon, we'll be juiced, we'll be vaccinated. So fingers crossed on that. I know I'm seeing more and more people getting vaccinated, people that I know, and hopefully the window for media members and somewhat essential people like myself and you guys will open pretty soon, and we can all come here with sore arms and hopefully very minimal side effects. But moreover, however, we'll start with this topic, the Oscars. We're going to talk a lot about them this month. The nominations come out in a couple weeks. I'm super stoked. They come out on a Monday. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think it might be the 18th. I'm not 100% though on what day exactly. It might be it's later this month. I know that. And then the ceremony's next month. I think it's the 25th. But news dropped, and this isn't really surprising. That's why I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. I'd rather talk about the angle I want to take this. But 366 films are eligible for Best Picture. Now, that's not really surprising because they extended the eligibility window. There's a ton of movies coming out on streaming that are now eligible as well. And when a movie is eligible, there's a difference between being eligible and being on the short list. Any movie can really be submitted to be eligible. And the bare minimum requirement is that it's 40 minutes long at least. And there's never been, to my knowledge, there's never been an Oscar-nominated movie that's been under an hour for Best Picture. So you can already eliminate those pretty much. And the reason it's noteworthy, however, is because it's the highest number of eligible films in 50 years. 374 was the last time we saw this many. That was back in 1950. I'll go through just a few because actually Deadline and a bunch of sources listed all the nominees. Tip of the cap to that valiant level of journalism right there, giving us all the nominees. There's some noteworthy potential nominees in here. We got Birds of Prey. We got Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. We've got The Croods: A New Age. We've got The Last Blockbuster, double salute. We love to see it. Project Power, Tom and Jerry, The Turning. We got a lot of very noteworthy movies. It's going to be hard to, I mean, that's basically the Best Picture list right there. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Oh, yeah. You forgot Bad Boys for Life, the greatest film of all time, so please put that in there.
Scoob? Well, actually, no. You put it at your number 5,
Yeah,
Joe,
I did.
So maybe it is the best movie ever
maybe
made
it is
for
the
you.
greatest movie, yeah.
If I was one of those Academy members, you damn right my vote would be for Bad Boys for Life.
Okay, here's something that actually stuck out to me. Lupin the Third, the First. I don't know if you guys are into anime. I'm out of the three of us, I think I'm the most into anime, and I'm not even that into. Or maybe Joe's gonna correct me.
I was about to say, not only did I notice that, but the Demon Slayer movie is even on there as well. I was just like,
Weebs.
wow, all right.
Oh boy. Yeah, I've never been big into anime. John knows one of the first anime movies I saw in theaters was with him and our mutual friend. Remember Sword Art Online?
Oh,
yeah, Blaine and the Sword Art Online, and you got a lot of nice comments on that one. Jumping in.
I leaned over to Dom like 45 minutes in. I said, what the hell did I sign up for? I said, at this point, I'm only enjoying the popcorn. What the hell, man? I'm
the funny thing is, it was like the extra movie that for a series that already ended like 5 years ago or something. So you were really out of the loop. It was great.
Oh, God. I needed
I only mentioned that because I don't think an anime movie has ever won. Obviously in the animation category, it has a few times once Miyazaki,
yeah.
But I don't think it's won anything outside of that. Probably some sort of technical award, but certainly never. I mean, Beauty and the Beast is the only animated movie ever nominated for Best Picture.
Wasn't
period.
Toy Story 3 also nominated?
Toy Story 3
I take that back.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then it was for the longest time it was
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
Then Toy Story 3 is the most recent. I don't think Lupin the Third, the First, but I'm just saying that it's cool that it's included, and I'm glad it is because I want to see it, and I've heard really good reviews about it.
So that's cool. The one last thing I'll say too, at least on the newsworthy element of this, is that notice films, and this is important too. I think that they should have really made the headline this as opposed to like the 366 films. Notice how movies like The Little Things and Judas and the Black Messiah and Malcolm and Marie are on the list. The eligibility window was extended into this year. I think some people are under the impression that those are going to be eligible for next year's Oscars. Those are under this year's umbrella. Okay. This is a huge window. Yeah. So you got to factor in like everything from like last year, January to like February of this year. And even
That's
Tom and
huge.
Jerry just came out this weekend. So, like, I know it's probably, let's say, not going to get any nominees, but the fact that it's eligible shows, though, how long this window has been. And the odds-on favorite right now, truthfully, according to Gold Derby, which is actually a very fun site if you choose to explore it. It's got all the different award shows. Daniel Kaluuya is the overwhelming favorite to win Best Supporting Actor.
He won Golden Globes, so
Yeah.
it's really not a surprise. To see. I mean, he was just freaking magnetic in that freaking movie. He was something else, man. And between him, I don't know, are we doing our whole nominee rundown? I don't think we are, but
I just threw it out there.
in terms of like shoe-ins for the best picture, like what do we think are going to be nominated? Actually, I mean, there's a lot of obvious ones. I think Minari is going to be up there for sure. Oh my God, I should have written them down. I always say that. I feel like Malcolm and Marie's going to get nominated for Best Picture. I know the acting pictures, but I wonder if for Best Picture it'll get in there. I wonder.
There's one that I'd say don't sleep on. First off, if you want me to bet, like, one thing I'm going to bet my paycheck on. Like I said, the one movie, I think we can go all around and guarantee one movie. Dom, I think you said Minari. You would guarantee that gets a nomination. Yeah. I would put my paycheck on Nomadland. I would put my paycheck on Nomadland getting nominated.
Have not seen it, but that director did win Best Director for Golden Globes.
Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, so that's definitely up there. I think One Night in Miami.
Yeah.
It's also another shoe. I don't know, Joe, you got anything here?
Defy Blood.
Obvious
and
ones.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah.
That's like, there's so many movies, like, it's funny, like, the Oscars So White thing, like, that happened. It's just like, all right, you guys have a ton to select from this time. Don't you dare pass up this opportunity.
There's no excuse.
And I was thinking, like, oh, wait, is this the Oscars with the eligibility or the representation inclusion standards? No, that's not until 2024, the 96th Oscars. That's going to be a bit.
I mean, obviously, also Trial, Chicago 7 is going to get nominated, too.
Yeah.
That won Best Screenplay, I think, at the Golden Globes, whether it be adapted or original, I forgot. Obviously, Wonder Woman 1984 is going to get nominated. Dom even said so himself.
Okay.
I would love to
for
see
visual effects.
Hold on,
visual effects.
I would love to see in some sort of way Borat's subsequent movie film to get something.
it's like a dark horse that I'm really rooting for.
Yeah. Just to hear the Oscar guy go, and the Academy Award goes to Borat's subsequent movie film delivery of the prodigious bribe to American regime for MAC benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan.
Fun fact, I was on Gold Derby today, and again, this is just kind of outside speculation. Maria Bakalova's got the 6th best odds to be nominated.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm really excited. I hope it's not a cock tease like Tiffany Haddish and Girls Trip was. I genuinely would pound the table for her to get nominated. For Bakalova to get nominated for that. We all talked about that as part of our Borat review.
Yeah.
Was that, like, she could definitely justifiably get the Oscar nomination. You know what one I would also say, don't bet against getting a Best Picture nomination. And nobody's talking about this movie because nobody saw this movie, but I bet your ass it's going to get a Best Picture nomination, it'll get a Best Director nomination, and it'll get a Best Actor nomination, and that's Mank.
Yeah.
Mank. That's right. Yeah, everyone slept on that because it's such a Hollywood film, It's like, this is the story of the guy who wrote Citizen Kane. Is that not the most film thing ever? Like, I don't even feel that bad about you dropping the F-bomb on this one because it is the most, like, movie buff, like, Hollywood-esque thing ever. Is that movie just from the looks of it? Oh my God.
Damn, you know what I'm really mad about though? Hold on, let me see and make sure I'm not missing this by Control F. Okay, I'm really upset to see HBO stuff on Max and HBO just not make it on this list at all, or like Class Action Park or even Bad Education. Like, I know Bad Education is classified as, like, just an HBO original, but it's like, man, like, I would have thrown out a cap. That was such a good movie.
I overlooked that. Bad Education's not on that
No,
list.
no, because I literally see Bad Boys for Life and Bad Hair, and it's not there.
Oh, that's atrocious. That's atrocious.
And it's same with Class
That's got to be a
Action Park.
classification problem, like you said, right?
It has to be.
I guess so, but even Class Action
Who
Park
effed that up?
Class Action Park was a Max original, so like there's Netflix originals on here, there's Hulu originals, there's stuff like that, Amazon originals, but like I don't know, maybe because like that didn't go to theaters technically, which is like the thing. But I would think
Class Action Park I get because that's a documentary. Has a documentary ever won Best Picture? No. Is it even eligible? No, that's all documentary. That's the best documentary, right?
But it's
So
just the fact that it's not even
makes
on
sense.
this list is what I'm pointing out. Like,
Right.
because the last blockbuster's
Bad
even on here.
Education?
I mean, unless they're gonna say that it was like a made-for-HBO movie.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
That's
maybe
what
it's
I
considered
think.
an Emmys or Golden Globe as far as it can go, like those two shows, and that's it.
That's what I would
Dude.
think, which is kind of a crappy disqualifier. But no, because if you think about it, the like Judas and the Black Messiah was not made by it was not made for HBO Max. It's on HBO Max in addition to being in theaters. Versus Bad Education and Class Action Park, those movies premiered on HBO, and then were put on the streaming services.
Does that mean
And
Hugh
they're-
Jackman is not eligible?
I don't think that movie at all. That movie at all is not going to be eligible. Then
Oh,
I didn't even
that's-
think about that.
Oh my God.
That sucks. That sucks.
I'm really sad now. Oh shit.
Damn, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you just
Fuck.
ruined Doc's
I'll
life.
say that deserves it. Shit.
That sucks because that was a very good film.
That
That was
I
my
think
favorite movie.
That made all of our lists for favorite film of for one of our favorite films of 2020.
Oh, Jimmy
that-
Tacho's not eligible for supporting. God damn it.
Quickest supporting actor performance in history.
He's gonna be like a Glengarry Glen Ross. No.
But if you want to know the best odds for Best Picture, but I would say don't sleep on Mank. I think Mank's definitely going to get nominated. Gary Oldman and David Fincher, they're all going to get nominated for their respective categories. But if you want the breakdown for what Gold Derby and the experts see as the most likely to be nominated, Nomadland has the best odds to be nominated and win at this moment in time. Second is The Trial of the Chicago 7 by not a far margin for nominated and win. Minari's third, Mulaney's Black Bottom is fourth, One Night in Miami's fifth. Promising Young Woman sixth, and that's interesting. And Carey Mulligan, too. This is worth mentioning. Carey Mulligan's got the best odds currently to win Best Actress.
Oh,
That makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Promising
I
Young
wouldn't
Woman as a
complain.
film is kind of a dark horse. Promising Young Woman, but in the actress category, Carey Mulligan is up there, dude.
I have to ask, is that technically a 2020 film or 2021?
That is,
I'm just curious.
I think, 2020. I think 2020 because it's kind of facetious how they do it, but I think they count it as like festival premieres and sort of like the circuits and whatnot, the festival circuit. I think that's how they classify it.
Okay.
That it is technically 2020. But the last thing I'll bring up too is that Our Friend, which I gushed about back in January, that's got 100-1 odds to be nominated for Best Picture. So there's still hope. I really want to see that movie get something. It won't. But in my opinion, that Our Friend movie with Dakota Johnson, Jason Segel, which is currently my favorite film of 2021. I know it's very early. I want that to at least get Best Adapted Screenplay. That should at least get something. It won't. I'm not holding my breath, but it should. And I'll leave it at that. But interesting discussion. I don't want to go too long on this because we're going to talk more. We're going to have half a show dedicated to the Oscar nominations. I'm glad they don't come out like Wednesday morning. They come out on a Monday, I believe. So I'll have like a day or two to vent and be pissed off. And then I'll come in here level-headed, the best of my abilities to talk about it with two of my closest friends. Moving forward, however, we got a great movie to discuss, gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
Lee Isaac Chung's Minari, now streaming, available to rent on a variety of different platforms. And Google Play, YouTube, Amazon. You're going to have to shell out the $20 for this one. I'm sorry, but it is absolutely worth it. If only we could see it in a theater. Not only because of the pandemic, you really can't, but also because it ain't really showing anywhere. But Minari is wonderful, to employ a line from the movie itself. I reviewed Minari back in December. I called it a humanist marvel. and I stand by that. You can take this movie in a lot of different directions. You can see a lot of things. This is a movie that is comprised of a lot of small moments that amounts to a cornucopia of emotion without ever being aggressively sentimental. And I find that very lovely in this movie. It's semi-autobiographical to Stephen Ewan, the lead actor's experiences in America, semi-autobiographical. But ultimately, how I look at it is that it deals with the effects of assimilation on multiple levels, as it deals with the Korean family moving to the rural plains of Arkansas. It deals with the real effects of assimilation, in my opinion, both of a family coming to America, literally harvesting the American dream, and a man trying to assimilate into his family, which is comprised of his wife, his daughter, his son, and his mother-in-law. And there's so much to talk about this movie. I've said a lot about this movie. It was my favorite film of 2020. And I've published a lot of words and I've talked a lot about this. I'm ready to hear what you guys have to say because you guys just watched this. Dom, I'll start with you.
It is amazing how subtle this movie was for me, despite its immense sparseness. Like this movie, like 90% of this movie is just the wide open fields of this countryside, and just their crappy little sparse little trailer home. And it's seemingly such a basic thing, just a man, his wife, and two kids, and then eventually the grandma gets thrown in there, and some side characters. But it had such a temptation to be so on the nose with everything, with its message, with its emotions, with its with its relationships and all of that. But somehow it remains subtle and really sped by for me. Like, I was shocked, like how this movie was able to take me from minute zero to the final ending scenes. I was like, holy crap, we're already like here. And it's strung together so wonderfully by of course the typical comprehensiveness of film. But what really stuck out to me really is the strength in all of the acting. Like, and it's amazing because it's how it manages to balance all of its characters reasonably well, while also really taking it all in stride with its plot line is really cool. So yeah, the father, aka Jacob, aka Stephen Yeun, from The Walking Dead, as I knew him before that, he knocks it out of the park here as someone who is grasping so hard for not just for the American dream, just to prove his self-worth, which oftentimes is just wrapped into one another. If anyone's witnessed that before firsthand, but it is readily apparent in this movie. But also the Alan Kim as the little kid is, dude, that Kawanzi Wallace for Beasts of the Southern Wild.
Quvenzhané Wallis, yes.
Quvenzhané Wallis, thank you. I know I was going to mess it up. But if she gets a supporting actress, or was it actress, just straight up actress, best actress award, I wouldn't be surprised if David got, maybe not, but like he's up there. And like, it's just, I don't know how he did it. I don't know what really at that point it's a directing, right? Because it's how you guide a kid through all of that. But it's, I still could. I was thinking about it all week, how to put all of this subtleness and how to really describe it, but it's still a mystery to me. It really is. And I don't know if I'm going to set the conversation there, but really just the subtleness, the strength in the acting, and how fast it went are really the big three things that jump out at me. And I didn't want to start reading think pieces and all that, because I want to kind of just focus on our three discussions. But Joe, do you have anything to say about that, and also what you had as well?
Yeah, I'll say this. Whenever I see A24 pop up now in front of a movie, I get very happy. Like, it has officially become that. I mean, it was that studio for me in 2019, and it continues to still be that. With Uncut Gems, Midsummer, and The Lighthouse, and now Minari's up there for just just very recent films that I feel like we're not getting enough of anymore in cinema. We're just not getting enough of like to see on the big screen because studios don't want to take a chance, or when they take that chance and want to make something about the American dream or something along the lines of Minari, it's very ham-fisted with its message. It's it's played out that we've seen before, stuff like that. Minari's not that at all. Minari's just a slice of life movie that is just refreshing to see for once. I feel like it captures the whole immigrant family very wonderfully in this film. I think it captures like how like a family would come from another country. And one thing I didn't know about this movie is that it takes place during the 80s. I had no idea about that. I thought this was a modern day film, and that caught me off guard too. So just seeing like them come in with, you know, not only during the 80s with limited technology and trying to start a farm and everything, you really root for this family. You do root for Steven Yeun to try and show that like he can pull off this American dream of his, that he wants to like raise this farm so that way he doesn't have to keep working at these like sexing chicken farms where they just have to identify the sex of a baby chick for like 8 hours a day and like work basically to their graves for their kids. He'd rather just do something where he can feel proud about himself and what he's grown, the money he's gained to set up future for his family. And the interaction with the entire family, as Dom was kind of touching on that subject, is wonderful. Everybody in this film to me is great. And honestly, some of my favorite moments, as much as I was happy to see Steven Yeun like finally get a big leading role, I've been wanting the guy to get something like that since Walking Dead, and he's just mostly been either like a secondary character or a supporting character. While he was amazing in this, man, my favorite moments of this film is with the grandmother, Sunju.
Yeah.
As somebody who has like an immigrant grandmother who, you know, watched them when they were younger, man, the connection she has with David throughout this film and just like the bonding time they have together. Oh my god, man, that pulled at my heartstrings so much watching this film, man. I was smiling and laughing so much. It is so heartwarming. And then I'll pass off to Steve in just a second. But the one thing I'll give this movie to, it was so refreshing to see this. Because I went to this movie like, all right, it's a family moving to Arizona to start a farm. And, you know, they're dealing with a lot of Southerners. When we're going to get the racist character that's like, what are you damn Koreans doing here on this land? We didn't get that in this film. And I was so damn happy they just thought, like, you think you're about to get it. Like, there's a scene where they go to a Catholic church full of white people, and you're like, all right, here we go. It's going to happen. That kid's already giving them a dirty look. No, the kid just wants to be friends with David. And the girl also wants to be friends with the daughter. And everybody gets along with Steven Yeun. The women welcome the wife and want to be open to them. It's like, wow. Like, I don't have to see that in every film. I know that is a thing that's happening in America. I get that. But this film is like, it is focusing on this family and the struggles that they're dealing with. That is already enough already. I don't need the struggles of the outside world already, because you know what? The family, what they're dealing with is already troubling enough. And that's just trying to get some damn water for this farm throughout the entire movie. It was just a very refreshing thing that, like, you think you're about to get this whole racist thing again, and it's just like, oh, here we go. And then it swerves right. I'm like, oh, cool. We're actually going to avoid that. That's actually refreshing for once.
There was the girl who was like, hey, ching chong ding dong or whatever.
She opens
and I'm
with
like,
that. I'm
yeah.
like, oh, man.
but like, yeah, you know, like every Asian kid growing up in America gets that once or twice. So it's like, whatever. It wasn't that bad.
I think David's asked at one point, why is your face so flat?
Yeah, it's like, we all get that at some point. So it's whatever. But but I just love the subvert. I know I pointed out Steven Yeun and Alan Kim, the son, at first, but really we could talk at length like for 20 minutes about each of these characters. Yeah, dude, the grandma Sunja, played by Yeon Ye Jung, is fantastic. I love her subversion as a functionally useless grandmother who does nothing but gamble. Here's the thing: my grandfather, dude, I wanted to avoid like personal stories as much as possible, but I can't help it here. My grandfather was a gambler before I passed away a couple years ago, but he was a gambler. He inherited a farm, and let's just say he did not have the farm, and there may be a reason for that, but he was a gambler. And seeing the grandma play with the son and the kids, just teaching them cards, and like basically not doing much else but that and sleeping, I was like, bruh, that's Yeah, wasn't cook, wasn't doing a lot of baking, wasn't doing a lot of cleaning. That's it. But that brought me back. That brought me back to so many things. I straight up, I am so biased with this freaking film. And I tried to really clamp down on it as much as possible. But at some point, it's just who I am, and it's just how I view this movie. And yeah, the immigrant story is kind of played out, and it's so easy to make it something cliche and preachy and soapboxy and up and down. And it's stuff I roll my eyes at. I have been rolling my eyes at for a while now. We're going to go to intermission soon, but I just wanted to say that how this movie captures the immigrant struggle and that kind of story by, as Joe said, focusing pretty much just on the family and their struggle, even though it is mostly like 95% internal conflict amongst the family. It's like it still shows that immigrant struggle, that struggle of, as Steve was saying, assimilation, and that's an achievement in and of itself. It's almost like The Godfather to a degree. If you think about that movie, at least the first one, it's mostly just the family, fighting amongst each other, and then occasionally fighting other Italian immigrants, other mobsters, right? Not really that much to do with. I mean, yeah, sure, there's corruption and racist people all around. That was a little bit more in that movie, but The Godfather, it mostly focused on family. And like The Godfather and Minari, everyone can identify with that. You want to identify with immigrants? You want to tell that story? Just show the family, because that is something literally everyone, unless you're an orphan, but even then you have a family to come up to. So, we're going to come back with, actually, no, can I pass it off here? I forgot already the process. Can I pass it off first, or I got to leave, right?
We could try that. Yes.
Yeah, like
I was gonna say we could just
jump in with your what you want to say while Dom.
I was gonna say we could just take our intermission, sponsored by Zoom, as I'm gonna call it. So
okay.
if you want to just do that, come back in about 2 minutes. We'll be back. I'll continue on with some of my thoughts on Minari, because clearly there's a lot to get into with this. So we'll take a few minute time out, just a couple of minutes. Be back talking more about Minari and the Billie Eilish documentary. Was our little intermission, sponsored by Zoom. This is Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube, talking about Minari, the Lee Isaac Chung movie, now streaming on various platforms. You do have to rent it for $20 on Amazon Prime, Google Play, YouTube, Vudu, a lot of different ways you can watch this movie, and I think by our consensus, highly recommend that you do. I've just kind of been sitting back and listening, because like I said before, I've talked a lot about this movie. I talked about it on the show before, and it was my favorite film of 2020, and I wrote a long review on it. You can check that out on my website. But so I was really interested in hearing what you guys had to say. I want to jump on Joe's point, though. We don't have to make it a talking point, but I just want to echo his sentiments, because I spent about a paragraph on this in my review. Will Patton plays the kind of neighbor and also employee of Jacob, who's helping him work on the farm. He is a Christ-like character. He's a little odd. He's an odd dude, to say the least. He's very religious, and he's like fanatical almost to a degree. But I echo Joe's point in saying it's refreshing to see a Southerner not portrayed as a backwoods racist, but a man who's not only kind-hearted, he's grateful for the employment of the Yee family. He's grateful for their farm, and he's grateful to be in the presence of
just
people.
Hospitality.
He's hospitable. Like, it's such a humanizing performance. And I was struck by that completely. Just because you keep waiting. You keep waiting just because of how we've been conditioned in movies and the social climate of today. It was refreshing just to see like a common, decent person. I always joke when I like movies like Black or White with Kevin Costner or The Last Shift, which I talked about, I think, briefly on this show. I joke about these like types of movies. They're not really white savior movies, but they're movies, I always say, where white characters find out the unbelievable truth that minorities are capable of being decent human beings. I always drop. You've heard me drop that line before. But at the same time here, it's refreshing to see a movie realize that not all Southerners are closed-minded racists. It goes both ways, and it's shown very dynamically here.
And how they wrote it into his character, if I'm not mistaken, if I understood this correctly, he is a Korean War veteran, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So that explains why he's seen some shit, you know, you can tell. But also, that's why he's friendly with Korean people. He lived amongst South Koreans, worked with them, probably fought with them. If you know anything about that war, that's one of America's several forgotten wars. But you know, no matter, if you're in a war, it's some deep shit. So yeah, no, I was really pleasantly surprised by that as well. And Will Patton's got such presence in this movie, dude. Holy crap! At first, I was nervous because I was worried about that too. I was like, oh, is he going to be a murderer? Is he going to be sexually assault someone?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's an A24 movie. This dude's definitely like some cult leader, right?
Yeah, right. Is gonna look into like, yeah, I don't know.
This dude's got a beautiful, sunny, picturesque festival he goes to in Sweden or something.
Exactly. But I was really happy by that too. Really, just every single casting choice, every single character here. I thought the banker was going to be someone shitty. I thought the boss at the chick refinery was going to be like whatever. But nah, it's the shitty situation, and everyone's got their own thing going. And yeah, there's like institutional stuff that we know of beyond the scene, but really within it, it's nothing. It's really nothing that you can blame other than like, yeah, we're all part of the same shitty life and the same shitty foe of a, false American dream that we're trying to live towards. So let's just get to work and see what we can do. And sometimes it does, sometimes it don't work out.
I feel like every like studio, like, I don't think this movie's a bad movie, but I just want to use that as an example, like Hidden Figures, for example. Good movie and everything, but like there is that moment where they stand up to the racist person at the office, and you're like, "Yes, Queen, yes." Like every movie after Hidden Figures,
I think all three of the women in Hidden Figures got their own racist person to stand up to.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Costner literally smashing racism with a sledgehammer. Yes.
I like that movie a lot. It's good, but it's totally the definition of a studio-made movie. It's why we like looked at Just Mercy and we're like, look, yeah, it's studio-made and everything, but it went above and beyond. Hidden Figures didn't go above and beyond. Hidden Figures did like the standard stuff. It's just like, it was just done good enough.
Yes.
But like more often than not, we do not get Hidden Figures or Just Mercy. We get something bland and in like just the same generic average movie about this kind of stuff.
And I got a little pushback. I remember we were doing it on radio, and I remember getting some pushback just from people, even like people I knew in college when I was talking about, because I called Hidden Figures the weakest Best Picture nominee that year, and I stand by it because it's a decent movie, but it's so rah-rah, and it's so like it's so broad. in that way. And it's also like so feel good too that you feel bad for critiquing it in that respect too, because it's like it is a woman-led studio film. And I had that same problem with Crazy Rich Asians too, where I said I have no problem with the representation here. I crave for it, but it's not only representation. You need to demand quality. Yeah. That's the other part.
I'll fight you on Crazy Rich
Asians.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I'll box you on that movie.
not because I'm Asian, and Joe's with me too, but like
it's good, not great. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, sure, that's perfectly fine. It's no Minari by any means, stretch of the imagination, but I would actually like to compare those two films. We all know we have a documentary to talk about as well. But I'll say this about Crazy Rich Asians, which is that it did develop its own personality, its own style, and just the effort put into all of its shots and costuming. It's like, oh shit, this is something else. But even with Crazy Rich Asians, it's that story, interestingly enough, is also about assimilation and is also really mostly internal. Maybe not one family, maybe like a really big family and like multiple other cousins that you aren't really cousins. I don't know. But like in that way, it's assimilation because the main character, even though she is Asian, she is very American, and she's trying to kind of like the reverse, right? Trying to assimilate into a Chinese, or I'm sorry, Chinese, Taiwanese, Indonesian. I'm not quite sure. I already forget, but it's kind of that kind of reverse situation. And in that way, I actually was thinking about Crazy Rich Asians, just at least from Rachel's character. Rachel is the main character in Crazy Rich Asians, who tries to assimilate into that family, and seeing that with Stephen Yeun trying to assimilate. It feels less tangible, I know, but you feel that because he's just trying to make the American dream happen. And if you are born in America, even if you immigrate, but particularly if you're born into America, that is something that is like part of the national consciousness. That is like an actual deep personality trait that kind of comes with every American, unless you're really born into a shitty situation, which I'm sure millions of people can identify with. But for a lot of people who are at least born middle class or upwards, it's just something you inherently want to believe in so deeply. And the way that this family together, my God, the wife Monica, played by Han Yuri, is so resolute and so freaking fierce, and not in like the fierce way where Janelle Monáe is talking back to someone in Hidden Figures. No, fierce in that she is trying to keep this family together and trying to think about her kids, but her dumbass husband is so set on raising these stupid ass vegetables and not thinking about his kids, right? Like, what are you trying to do here? This is for your goddamn ego. And you know what? Yeah, I get it. That's something we all have to think about, especially us here as fully fledged adults now in the real working world, where it's like, yeah, we got dreams. We all want to be a streaming millionaire. I don't know, but like, we gotta get our shit together, and we gotta make bills. So that struggle is so beautiful, and it's obviously global. It's obviously every human ever, but also weirdly American in how they dress it up here. And again, another achievement that this film manages to just knock out of the park. My God.
Yeah, there are a lot of great things said in that in that little statement right there too, Dom. There's, like I said, I wish this was the only thing we could talk about today. We do have to get to a documentary. I'm glad you guys watched it. I'm glad you guys seem to love it too, because the other thing I want to mention too, I didn't talk much during this review, but Alan Kim is a marvel here. He's so precocious with his sass. And he knows how to deliver a line. And it's funny because if you watch him on interviews recently, because he's been doing a lot of buzz for this movie now, you watch him on interviews, he's almost like distracted. He's an 8-year-old. He's antsy. He's distracted a little bit. They asked him,
he's a little shit sometimes.
Yeah, he kind of is. He kind of is, and it's cool. Like, he's got on his own personality. They asked him who his favorite actor was, and he said Sonic the Hedgehog. Like,
I mean, he's not wrong. So, like, that is objectively the best.
Okay,
actor.
That's why I kept seeing people on Instagram post something like that. Like, it's just like, who's your favorite actor? Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, please don't tell me Sonic the Hedgehog is actually being nominated.
And they've asked him in interviews. They're like, "What was it like working at Minari?" He's like, "I don't know." Like he's
8.
so cute. He's 8. He's so cute though. Like and he can get away with it. That kid could get away with like theft. He's so damn precious. He's cute as a button here. He has a special. And this where it goes like with Lee Isaac Chung, the director, and I think Stephen Yeun. He has such a special relationship with Yoon here. I go back to that scene when they finally get water and they're howling in glee. And like they got such a special little dynamic there. And there's certain lines too throughout this movie. I always go back to when I tell people about this movie, the "I'm not pretty, I'm good looking" line that he says, that Alan Kim says. He owns his one-liners. Like this kid can act. And this, I hope, the right people, first and foremost, I hope the right people are behind him to give him a good life, a good, safe sanctuary, number one, above anything. Number two, I hope he gets paired with the right directors and casting coaches and everything, because this kid can be really molded. I don't even think really he needs much molding. He's such a natural, gifted little kid.
I hate to say
at such
this.
a young age.
I hate to say this, but like I kept forgetting he has a sister because of how much he soaks up the screen. And I was just like, man, if there's one character they don't pay attention to that much in this movie, it is the sister. She's
like the Lisa Simpson.
Yeah.
She's like the Lisa Simpson.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I thought of her as.
I don't know if we want to get into some quick critiques, because I did have a couple. But to me, the biggest one was just kind of the sister was pushed to the side. I don't know if that's because, well, I don't know how much more you can cram in here, because maybe it's the screenplay is a little too crowded and everything else is just, everything else is kind of well balanced, but she was kind of left by the wayside, which sucks because she has a story in and of itself. She's not 8. She's like, what? The character's probably
she's like
12
almost
or
a
something.
high schooler, I think.
Yeah, that's friggin' rough. Dude, that is horrible. Like, I kind of identified that more than the kid. It's like, dude, to be an Asian immigrant, one, just Asian, and then like also an immigrant with an accent, and then to have that be amongst the kids, like, if anything, I was ready for like really racist shit there, as was kind of hinted at in the church thing. But as we mentioned, I'm glad it didn't go into that really. So it kind of sucks because there was kind of a missed opportunity. But I don't know how well the balancing could have gone into. I do think the thing they do with the Minari, it's an important focal. It's the name of the movie, but it's also an important focal point for kind of an on the nose allegory and kind of like a savior as well. But it just kind of a little too on the nose there, and which is like the thing that stands out because so much of this movie is subtle. Go ahead.
I'll say too. I probably should have mentioned it in the opening monologue. The movie gets its name Minari is because that is a resilient Korean herb, and the special quality of Minari is that it can grow wherever. It can grow anywhere. It can withstand wet terrains. It can withstand dry terrains. Read half the Wikipedia article on Minari after seeing it. It's actually worth reading. I'll say that much. Go on, Dom.
Where the story went, like about halfway through, I could tell like the Minari is going to be important here, isn't it? So there's kind of that, and also in the way that it is subtle, I can see how people might think it's boring, right?
Yeah,
I can see that too. Now, for me, again, I am biased, but also I think my trend. I think subtlety is refreshing because we just watched a lot of crap where it's explosions, but I understand it. If you thought this movie was boring, if you kind of give it like 2 stars, if you were to give it 2 out of 4 stars, because it's like nothing really happened, and I've kind of seen this story before. If you haven't like kind of seen similar things, and maybe if you don't quite appreciate them, not even so much appreciate, but they're more so like it's not your thing. I can see why you would think this is boring, because this movie is kind of, I don't know. It's not, again, I go to The Godfather only because that movie, there's actually a whole book about this, but it's actually an incredibly pivotal point in American media. Once The Godfather came out, everyone started thinking about their genealogy, about their immigrant status and their history, like that. It's called the Godfather effect. And people really dug into that across all cultures once that movie came out. And in that way, Minari does that too. I'm sure will do for a lot of people in this generation, but it does so in a less explosive way, a less shooty kind of way, a less sexy way, and it's a drama. But I still think the subtleties really are just beautiful here. I'm going to go into a star rating if that's okay, but I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 4 stars. A biased 3.5 out of 4 stars, but goddamn, that's just who I am, and it's beautiful.
No, I could definitely see when this thing. I'm not gonna say if. I'm gonna say when. When it gets some Oscar nominations,
Yeah.
I will be a raging bitch on Wednesday if that Wednesday show if it doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
I could very well foresee when people start getting wind of this and hearing about it and reading about it and then going to see it. I could definitely see the rating on some of like the different websites take a bit of a dip because this is not going to be everybody's movie. I'm fully aware of that. It's very slow. It's very slow and methodical, as gorgeous as it is. You could tell you're listening to 3 film lovers here, so it's not really surprising how much we like it. But I do think that this is a story that will truly can be appreciated by anybody, but will probably best be appreciated by immigrants of really almost any background. I mean, particularly probably Koreans, but also too of really any different background coming to America in search of some kind of life or creating some kind of life. For me, like I said, I saw it back in December. It was then and it is now. It's an easy 4 out of 4 stars for me. It's my favorite film of 2020 for a big reason. Absolutely adored this movie, and I hope I'm talking about its 7 or 8 Oscar nominations come later this month.
Real quick, and we'll pass to Joe. Just as you're saying, how any immigrant can identify with this. Again, I'm not. I was born in Chicago, but my parents are immigrants. Just seeing the Korean characters seamlessly switch between Korean and English when they're talking to white people, it's like, god damn, that is a subtlety that maybe a non-immigrant will see, but like for someone like me who saw their parents and saw their family do that on a dime, it's that was another thing that really struck me. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No,
that's a very good point.
You're good.
That's a great point.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the only big critiques I have with the movie, and it's not even that big, I should just say critiques, is these slice of life movies, and this is just a me thing. They, to me, like when it comes to like time length and everything, I feel like once you hit 2 hours, it's like I could kind of feel it. And Minari did fall into that category. I'm not gonna dock it too many points because I was entertained throughout the whole thing. But I was like, damn, like I do feel the length. I do feel like this is like, I do feel the 2 hours. And then of course the daughter character, which I was just kind of like, damn, like all they really did with her is just have her roll her eyes every so often because of something that's happening in the family. I'm like, they really didn't do much with her, but there's so much else happening in this movie that's gonna keep you distracted. It will keep you moving along that long running time. If anything we have said has interested you, you will probably enjoy this movie in some capacity. If you're listening to this and you're like, Steven Yeun's in a movie about a farm without zombies, that sounds stupid. Then yeah, don't watch it. Like, it's just that simple. It's a very down-to-earth film. It's a very calm and relaxing film. Don't watch it while laying down. You'll knock out probably. Watch it for just the hell of it, honestly. If you're really interested in the whole idea of watching an immigrant family come to America in the 80s and trying to start a farm and staying together through the struggle of doing this farm, it's very heartfelt. It's a very emotional ride. I didn't cry at all, but I mean it pulls at the heartstrings a ton of the times for me. For me, it is also a 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Nice.
I did shed a couple tears to it. I won't lie.
It gets
climax.
Close. It gets
that
close,
climax. Man. Like that climax. There was a heart drop there, to say the least.
Oh, I was punching air during that climax. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
We'll move forward. We won't spend a ton of time on Billie Eilish. The world's a little blurry. I'm going to try to narrow, not maybe just for time's sake, narrow the conversation a little bit. Mm-hmm. But this movie, we could have really talked about it for most of the show. And it's not, and in my opinion, it's not a sideline of the quality of it. But Billie Eilish, the world's a little blurry. Documentary, all the Billie Eilish stands have watched this about 6 times by the time we're talking about this. Let's be real.
This is 4 out of 4 stars if you're a Billie Eilish fan. Hands down. Unparalleled look into the life and times of Billie. It's like you're hanging out with that family. It's amazing. Holy crap.
Yeah. And that was my first point, is that I don't know if I've just been watching a lot of talking head documentaries. I feel like I have, like The Last Blockbuster and a handful of documentaries recently where it's a lot of people talking about institutions or topics. But I was just flabbergasted by the level of depth of access, number one, and the level of intimacy. Can we just say this? And I'm going to be the first to admit, I'm not the biggest Billie Eilish fan of her music. I respect her art. There's a couple songs by her I do enjoy. That's just not really my genre of music to begin with. I'm not an expert on it by any means. When it comes to music, judge me. I like country and I like rap. Those are my two lanes. I stay in them.
Whole
but I admire
opposite
Billie
spectrums
Eilish
too.
I admire Billie Eilish to a great degree, but moreover, though, the depth of access is amazing. But I'll just say this. I think that Billie Eilish in 10 years, maybe 5, she's going to cringe so hard she's going to pull a muscle watching her older self or her younger self. Like, there's so many moments here. She is going to be punching air watching this damn thing. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. Hell, I mean, at 16 and 17, if you had a camera shoved in your face for all your life, you'd be, you know what I mean? You wouldn't have as many great moments, at least as her. I mean, she is a warrior throughout a lot of this. And I think it says something too about the collective psyche that Billie Eilish is among the biggest names in music today. And I think that tells you how goddamn depressed and lonesome we feel. It's not even just this generation. It's everybody. Her music is huge. When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Her album was enormous. And it still is. Like every song on that album is almost a single, I think. Yeah. So like she's like Shania Twain level huge with her first debut, and it's pretty amazing. I'm gonna narrow the focus here just for time's sake. We'll talk about it maybe for about 10 minutes. But what was the biggest? I'll give mine at the end. Because I've talked a lot. What is the biggest kind of takeaway, focal point? Something that you really enjoyed from this? Joe, I'll start with you.
I'll name 2. And real quick, I'll say this as well. I do agree with you. Like, you really do feel like you're with the family and everything. Because this documentary has that home video footage feel, man. Like, this feels like you're popping in the next into your VHS, the next tape after the next
literal
tape after
home
the next
video.
Tape. Literal home video.
It is shot like that, and then it is shot like for sure.
And it's such a cool way they made this documentary. As somebody, I like Billie Eilish. I'm not in love with her music and everything. I do want to eventually see her live, because I did love When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? I think that's a great album. Everything she's released after that, including even the Bond song, I like it. I'm just not in love with it as much as that album. But my favorite parts of this documentary, I loved seeing the drawings that eventually became the music video concepts. I thought that was really cool as somebody who loved watching the art in her music video, especially for When the Party's Over. And then also, and this is something I knew just a little bit about her, but I'm glad like the documentary went into more about it. The whole concern about her being so anti-drug and her anti-alcohol stance at that age and being in that industry. And I'm glad Justin Bieber and her have like a great friendship too, because like there are so many times I was watching this documentary and I was drawing comparison to Bieber's upbringing in the pop industry and how much Billie has taken a stance against of like, what a lot of things that Bieber went through a young age that eventually led him through that path where he was pissing in Anne Frank's house and doing all that crazy stuff to then eventually cooling down and becoming an adult finally. But like I'm glad it like Billie from the get-go, ever since she like became this big icon, is just taking stances on stuff like that. It was so nice to see, and it's very inspirational to a lot of young girls out there, I think, too, or even just kids in general.
It kind of gave me like a Michael Jordan feel.
Yeah.
Where it was, because you know how Michael Jordan,
Dance,
if you don't know, obviously biggest basketball player in the world, but he famously stayed away from all the, I don't know about booze, but drugs. He stayed away from all that while the rest, like literally everyone else in the NBA was doing cocaine and shit. Yeah.
When he came to the Bulls, when he was the 3rd overall pick, the Bulls were known as a traveling cocaine circus.
Yeah, there you go. So seeing that was really cool. Joe, was that your second thing or your first thing?
That was both. Was the whole like I love seeing the music videos like where you see the concept of them come from, because like I love the music videos art direction, especially for the ones I've mentioned. But the whole anti-drug thing, it was like, wow, that's really cool to see her actually talk about this. This was something I kind of knew about because I heard so many people talk about like, oh, who gives a damn? Like, we all know how this is gonna go. She has this stance, and then she's gonna go down the beaten path like Bieber did, and it's just like, no, I don't think she is, guys.
This is a special documentary when it makes Justin Bieber look like the elder statesman in terms of the music industry. But no, no, you're absolutely right. Actually, now that I think about it, how cool it was seeing her, at least how the documentary made it look like. She had vision. She has like a clear creative mind that is beautiful in and of itself. But then she makes it happen. She's literally directing videos, music videos at the age of what, 17, 18, 19? Holy shit, dude. Now, like anyone can have a good voice, good voices at that age are a dime a dozen, right? Good musical instincts are a dime a dozen. And also you can train and work hard on that. Absolutely. Don't want to take that away from people. But having that level of creative, just energy at all, just that reservoir of energy that she has in terms of her creative mind, and then being able to execute it the way she does with extremely important help. Like at the point where I realized, like, shit, he really is 50% of Billie Eilish, It's Phineas, her brother Phineas. Like the name Billie Eilish might as well be like a band name where it's 50% her and 50% Phineas. It seems like, right?
There's plenty of interviews too that weren't shown in this and whatnot, or like that. She literally says like, yeah, everything kind of just goes through my brother and goes through me. Like we both have to agree on something before it ever gets greenlit.
They're basically a duo.
Yeah.
Pretty much, and it's actually a Carpenter situation. If you're familiar with them, they're not so well known these days. But,
it reminds me of Atticus Ross and Nine Inch Nails. My God.
Oh man.
Well, okay, the singer of Nine Inch Nails, one of my favorite bands, and I can't remember him right now. But it reminds me of those two.
Reznor?
Yeah, right, Trent Reznor. Thank you.
Trent Reznor. I had to think of it.
Those two to me, ever since like they paired up for making music for films, and then they eventually went on to make music for Nine Inch Nails. It's like those two are just hand in hand with each other. And if one of them doesn't agree on something, they just don't do it. Like it's just like it reminded me a lot of that.
Carpenters, Nine Inch Nails, and Billie Eilish. That is a winning formula right there. The one thing that did stick out with me, I'll choose kind of the obvious, but you blink and you miss it at one point, is where the mom explains. Also, by the way, Billie Eilish's mom is Samara from Mass Effect.
Oh my God.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
She is Samara from Mass Effect. Steve, I don't know if that means anything to you, but for Joe, I think I just blew his mind. I looked it up. It is true. Anyway, sorry. Is when the thing that stuck out to me most about the documentary is when Billie Eilish's mom was explaining how, people say that Billie Eilish, she's depressed, she's spoiled, and, she's she sums up the worst of the generation. Nah, man, she just sums up the generation. And she goes through all the shitty things someone at her age and her generation and the people younger than her, and to a degree us as well, have gone through and will continue to go through in the years and decades to come. And she really does kind of represent her generation, which is why she's so big. I mean, one, she's obviously just different from everyone else. Like Bad Guy is almost revolutionary in terms of mainstream pop music and is a real paradigm shift. It kind of is a watershed moment, kind of all the cliches there, but I really do believe it. But also just her deeper aesthetics, her deeper psyche, and kind of how she functions, Billie functions, is such a summary, because you've got the end of the world through climate change, end of the world, drastic consequences from climate change. You've got this unbelievable political situation that we're in, that continues to be in even after the election. The two once in a lifetime economic recessions, right? Twice in a lifetime that we've seen this. And it is remarkable. A global pandemic, which happened before this documentary was even filmed. And it's like, no wonder that the person who gives off vibes of being depressed and is super introspective and is very dark and twisted and just wants to break away from everything seemingly. No wonder that's popular. No wonder millions of kids and teenagers identify with that, because that is the angst of what we were all feeling. That is Nirvana, that is freaking gosh, I'm losing all these punk creds right now, but it is the sum of all fears all wrapped up and expressed through Billie Eilish, and it is quite deserving, I think.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, and I'll say the thing I was blown away with this whole documentary too, her eminently supportive parents.
Yes.
They're kind of like free spirits in their own way.
Yeah.
No knock on that though. Like they let their son and daughter really breathe and be their own. And Billy's mom has a lot of really good moments. Maggie, I think her name is. I didn't
Maggie
put it in
Braid,
my
yeah.
notes. Maggie,
I just think Samara.
You know, she's got some amazing moments in this. And like, she has that long monologue that Dom kind of just referenced. I won't really repeat it, about like all the problems this generation's faced. I mean, even before the pandemic, it was widely said and even reported that we're the first generation that is going to have a lower quality of life in terms of financial situation and just, globally speaking, in terms of just, devastation, money issues and everything than the previous generation. And you're seeing, I would say that's pretty friggin' accurate right now. But there's that moment that I liked. I also liked to, I was really surprisingly, almost shockingly moved by Justin Bieber's presence in this documentary.
Yeah, dude.
Because for two reasons. One, holy shit, her parents almost had to take her to therapy over her crush on Justin Bieber growing up. Number one, that alone deserves like another 20-minute documentary on how it got that bad. Number one. Number two, though, more importantly, is that I guess I didn't really realize it because, like I said, I can't speak for you guys. I know we're a little bit different ages and stuff like that, subtly, but, slowly. Justin Bieber came on for me, or like at least like came up around 8th grade for me. And I remember I wasn't like, it was like a total dynamic. All the boys hated him because all the girls loved him and all the girls fawned over him and everything. I don't know. I remember thinking One Time was a halfway decent song in 8th grade. I don't know. Wasn't the worst thing I ever heard.
Hey, look, man, Baby is always a bop. I don't give a damn. Hate me.
I did hate One Less Lonely Girl. I really did hate that song because I kept telling my friends, there's still going to be 2 billion other lonely girls. What problem did you solve? But anyway, like, no, the other thing though is that like we're now at that age now, or like we're older now, and so is Justin Bieber. He's been around long enough to influence this next generation of young pop singers. It's kind of like I said before, I like rap music.
Crazy.
It's kind of like how a lot of rappers now are citing guys like Soulja Boy and Bun B as influences. And like 2000s rap, which is crazy because the generation before it was Biggie and Pac. But onto that though, they're very moving together, Billy and Justin. Like it's very moving, the sort of dynamic they create with each other and just how absolutely gobsmacked and blown away she is, not only from meeting, but his verse on Bad Guy, which is not half bad either. His on the remix of Bad Guy when he sends that in, and how cute that is. Yeah, I like I said, we don't have too much more time over here. Zoom wants to get in on another part two of a sponsored Zoom intermission over here. But there's a lot to like about this documentary. I do think, kind of like its star, it's a little scatterbrained at times.
Yeah.
And it's long. It's very long at 2.5 hours. Billie Eilish fans wouldn't care if it was an hour longer. So like, it's kind of a moot point for us. But like, as a documentary, I think it kind of loses a little bit. But the last thing I'll say, and then I'll give my star rating and you guys can close, is that RJ Cutler, the director or the documentarian, caught lightning in a bottle. Like, it's hard to figure out who the hell is going to be the next big star, really, in any genre of music, but especially pop.
Yeah.
And he started filming this a couple years ago, before Billie Eilish was really on the radar. I mean, you see when she drops Ocean Eyes, her very first single, and gets a couple hundred listens on Spotify. And now look at her.
SoundCloud too.
And SoundCloud, excuse me.
Yeah.
SoundCloud's what I meant. And then at the end, she's collecting. She the only thing she was missing was a couple mops to clean house at the Grammys, because she took home like 8 trophies that night. Her and Phineas. Like he caught lightning in a bottle with this one. There's no way he could have foreseen even half of that. Like, the movie ends with her getting tapped to do the No Time to Die theme, which is incredible. This is a solid 3 out of 4 stars for me, though. Thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think it's a real treat for Eilish fans, because she's been kind of reticent about her own personality and her own sort of like inner workings of her upbringing. The last thing I'll mention, and I'll throw it over to you guys to close briefly, she kept that scumbag boyfriend around too damn long.
Okay, so what was the deal with that real quick? Just like 30 seconds. Was it that, what was he doing? What did he do that like messed her up? Like other than ghosting her, it seems.
He was just like ghosting her, and not to mention
okay.
too,
And
they don't
especially
really,
during the Coachella performance, the one that took a toll on her the most.
Unforgivable. Unforgivable. And the other thing too is nobody brings this up. Q was 20, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but it's worth mentioning. She's like what, 16, 17? He's like 21, 22.
Oh
nobody
shit.
Nobody brings this up. Like her parents didn't step in. I was gobsmacked by that. That doesn't get brought up at all. That he's 5 years older than her.
Yeah.
And
that's
she's
like illegal,
17,
dude.
You know, like, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I'm not the authoritarian over here, but that's a little fucked.
Yeah. I will say, okay, if you are a Billie Eilish fan, just even a solid fan, this is a 4 out of 4 stars for you because you're just hanging out with Billie. This is the most Billie you can ever get, more than Instagram or TikTok. If you like could care less about Billie Eilish, I don't think this documentary will pull you in and will wear you out, because it's not loose, but it is sparse on the direct explanation. So if you're not a Billie Eilish fan, I think you could use more of that. I think you could have used maybe 40 to an hour minutes less to be, if you wanted to cast a wide net and try and get more people into the Eilish mania or whatever, then it might be like a 2 out of 4 stars for you. But for me, as someone who is not the biggest fan, but it's just, I like Bad Guy. I like My Future is my favorite song from her.
That's a good song, man.
That's a good song.
So Charles Cornell turned me onto that song specifically. And he goes into it. He's a jazz musician. Like that song is like almost like a jazz ballad. Like it is beautiful and it is deep. But like as someone who's like a distanced fan, you know, I'm rooting for her, but not, you know, I actually need to listen to the whole album. I'm also gonna give this 3 out of 4 stars because it gave us incredible insight, and it's refreshing to see a documentary where it's not someone with a lapel mic sitting in a studio with the camera slightly diagonal or whatever, which is the standard, of course, on History Channel or whatever. And I give it 3 out of 4, just because it's lightning in a bottle. That really is the best way to put it.
Joe, sorry to shaft you, but quickly send us home.
3 out of 4 stars. It's great. It's good. I like that. It's a good documentary. I love her music. I love that first album, and it was a treat to see the whole inspiration behind it all, and like really enjoyed it. If you're a Billie Eilish fan, like 2 of my friends are, I already told them like just get your free week of Apple Plus TV and watch this because you're gonna love it. 3 out of 4 stars.
Yeah, you can't deny to recommending this to Billie Eilish fans, nonetheless. But even me, like I said before, I'm not the biggest pop music fan, and I never did listen to that album. I really want to, just because like even music snobs that I know love that album.
Yeah.
So I have to take a listen to that for sure. But the handful of songs I've heard by her, I like. And this documentary, it's not every day you get something this accessible. I was afraid I'd get hate for saying this, but I ended my review saying it, and I'll say this because I'm not being smug when I say this. I'm being genuine, and I here's hoping the next documentary isn't akin to on Billie Eilish isn't akin to the new Britney Spears documentary.
Yeah,
you know, and I don't think
I feel that too.
I don't think it will be because of her supportive family. But I'm just saying, I hope it's not.
I think that's the linchpin because as we know about Britney Spears now, about her father hoarding the money and all that stuff, that I think it's a different story. I will say this: go watch the Vanity Fair interview where it's the latest one. It's 1 year later, and she does it every year. So she has done the interview 4 times now, asked the same questions, and her latest one, which is in the middle of the pandemic, as of like November, December, or whatever. It is really introspective, and the introspective that woman has is remarkable. Particularly for someone as an artist, and the humility that she exudes. And I think I don't think it's going to end like as you feared, Steve. I don't think it's going to end like that.
I hope not, and I don't think so either if I were to bet on it. This has been Sleepless with Steve. Thank you so much for watching. Highlights will be posted over on YouTube. Back next week with a doubleheader of Raya and the Last Dragon and Tom and Jerry. Steve Pulaski, Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon. We'll be back next week on Sleepless with Steve.
Damn, what a time to cut it off.